And breathe. And breathe. So, United won, United 2. And it was Manchester United that walk away with 3 points on Saturday night. And before I get in to the game itself, thank God we won tonight. And I think regardless of how people might feel about performance here, performance and everything aside, thank God we won the game. Because that win will be, the result will be commemorated to that of Sir Bobby Charlton, who earlier today sadly passed away. And one of the most iconic, well-recognised names tied to Manchester United Football Club, a survivor of the Munich air disaster, and someone who's been instrumental through the playing years at Manchester United, but also for England as well. And the fact we've got a stand named after him, the grandstand at Old Trafford, the Sir Bobby Charlton stand. And he's going to be sorely missed. It is a real terrible shame to have to say goodbye to someone who's so influential in Manchester United's history. And I can imagine one person who's struggling quite big time with all of this is Sir Alex Ferguson, because he himself has lost two people very near and dear to him in recent time, in the last couple of weeks. And I can't imagine how someone like Ferguson would be feeling having to go through that. But thank goodness that we won tonight. And it could have gone another way. It could have gone in the way of being a draw. It could have gone the way of being a Sheffield United win. The performance in and of itself was disappointing, right? It's lackluster. It was missing an element that we didn't see until later on in the game, in the second half, when we started to really piece various things together. And I think the first half was very much Sheffield United looked hungrier. They looked like they wanted the game more, that they were more into things. They wanted, they looked like they had the game plan under wraps. Big up my bro, a rip to an absolute legend, Bobby Charlton, 100%. And also, by the way, before I also go any further as well, I was on with Longhaired Yeti on live stream, where he went for 7 hours straight doing watch-alongs for the Nottingham Forest Luton game, covered the Chelsea Arsenal game, and then also covered the Sheffield United Man United game at the end of the day. So he's been live for 7 hours, people, covering the watch-alongs for 3 separate games there. So do be sure to go show this guy some love and appreciation for doing a 7-hour long stream for watch-alongs, 3 different watch-alongs, and that is some mad amounts of coverage for anybody to do with watching football. Because let's be real, most of us, especially with United fans, we get quite drained out after watching our team play for 90 minutes. Well, yes, he's gone and watched 3 games, 90 minutes plus added time. So he's been through the ringer today. He's definitely put in a lot of work and a lot of effort, and it would be fantastic to top it all off, and would make his day if you were to go and drop in some subscriptions, but also to go check out on that latest stream, which is the watch alongs, and drop that video and stream a like. So big ups to Yeti, and thank you once again to him for allowing me onto the channel. So do be sure to go show him some love and support. Getting into the game, first half, I think we could probably say that it is a bit of a tale of two halves. I think that is, first half looked like it was a game of two sides at relegation level scrapping it out, right? It looked messy. It didn't look composed. It didn't look controlled. It didn't have anything sort of really coming off for anybody at this point. It looked messy. I mean, both instances of the goals in the first half from Scott McTominay looked a bit messy, but also, right down the other end, with conceding the penalty, just the whole thing from start to finish. Andre Onana, quite a few saves to make this game, but not really many convincing saves, I must say. A lot of parrying the ball, a lot of not catching it certifiably and letting it bounce into dangerous territories. A few times as sort of makes you hold your breath a little bit. And I'll tell you what, with a more clinical team, if you're making a save like that and you're parrying it into danger, there's not many times that you're not going to have a striker, a winger, or someone in the opposition's attack that isn't ready to catch the rebound. So hopefully Onana's going to be a bit more solid with the saving, with the catching. And if he's going to parry the balls, don't parry them straight in front of you. Try and parry it out off to the sides or behind for a corner kick. Something along those lines would be a good start. But it wasn't bad today. He wasn't bad. Dived to the right way for the penalty, but the penalty kick, that was just, that was a ridiculous finish from McBurney. Very convincing, smashed it in. Not too high, but too much pace for Onana to really do anything about it. But Onana did dive the right way, so could, in another world, he might have been able to save it. We don't know. But the Scott McTominay goal, I've got to say, I was surprised that Scott had enough time to get the shot away, because it wasn't a sumptuous strike. It was a little bit of a sort of scuffed it, bounced into the ground a bit, went low, but just enough on it to really sort of allow their goalkeeper to misjudge it, right? So because he dives quite late to try and make the save for that shot from McTominay. And I will be honest, I mean, McTominay, again, even if the strike wasn't good, came up in the danger area, showed up in a position in the box where if there's chaos, even if the game's messy and it's chaotic and nobody really knows what's going on, if you've got Scott McTominay in that danger spot, he gets that time, that opportunity to play that shot, to strike the ball. Most times he's going to end up in the back of the net because he's actually quite good in front of goal. And we saw it again today. Scott McTominay is quite good in the box. I don't really think that's too much of a secret, but the question is, would he be, does he do enough to be in those danger positions, those dangerous situations, enough to actually be able to have a more sort of consistent goal threat in those situations? For me, if we look at how the game went, various aspects, I think the game sort of came to us when we got the first goal. So we weren't really controlling anything. Possession was quite poor. A lot of cross-field passes, your crosses were overhit, and quite a lot of through balls were underhit. So the power wasn't quite there. And I suppose one person that's quite significant to not having a good game, I think maybe two, but this player more so than others, was Bruno Fernandes. To me, did not have a good game by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe had a lot of ideas in his mind, but my God, the execution was not there. it was not there for Bruno. Rashford, I think in various elements of the game, he did some good, but then he also did some not so good. To me, there's there's various pros and cons to each player's performances from this game, and I think that there has been a sort of a balance in there. That at the start of the game it did not look good at all, but we sort of grew into it a little bit, did enough to get that goal. I think the penalty was a penalty. I think for me, Scott McTominay, he had the arm by his side, but then he moved the motion of the arm went towards the ball. So for me, it was a penalty, to be honest. Though it's a soft penalty, but a penalty nonetheless. And we've seen 2 other handball penalties given before this game, this weekend. One in the Chelsea game from Saliba, which was stopped a header from potentially going in, and the other was against Michael Keane from a cross. I think that was delivered by Luis Diaz on the left-hand side. So I suppose it's just in the nature of what's been going on. Handballs, penalties. At least the outcome for those sorts of decisions has been a bit more consistent. But it is what it is. Scott McTominay, I mean, it's kind of like the Eriksen syndrome. Instrumental against Arsenal in the goal, but then also instrumental in then conceding the goal against Arsenal like 2 minutes later. So Scott McTominay, a little bit unfortunate, but at the same time, there's plenty of things we can say in retrospect. When we look back at it in hindsight, we say, well, he could have done this differently, could have done that differently. He's probably just one of those reactions when he sees the ball coming towards him. He moves his arm in a way that he's not aware of, and it's just a reflex, isn't it? Some players have reflexes that are strange or odd, each to their own. But but yeah, it's no worries, Yeti. Amirali Ghaznavi, congratulations on the Merseyside derby, by the way. Breaking, Paul Mitchell is in line to become new Manchester United sporting director. So, as per Sam Wallace tell, I think no final decision made yet on Paul Mitchell. Yeah, that's to do with Surgeon Ratcliffe. That's the name that's supposedly been in the pipe works for a Ratcliffe takeover. So, yeah. It's just one of those names that I think is like, oh, he's inevitably going to take the job. It's probably going to be the case. As to who else takes other jobs, I mean, is it going to be Brailsford that takes the CEO's job? Is it going to be somebody else? I think it was Jean-Claude's person that was director for PSG could take the CEO's job at Man United. I don't know. We have to see what the choices are going to be. But Paul Mitchell, I think, is one of those names where I think it's going to be a bit more, guaranteed. It's like one of those, we saw it coming from a mile away, but that's then. But this is now. The second half. Now, the first half, I kind of, it's one of those that for a United fan, it's easy to forget. It's easy to forget because it really, really wasn't good. Passing was not great. Decision making, defensive contributions weren't really that good from the midfield. I thought Amrabat started the game so poorly. He's still probably bedding himself in, and that one of these away days, cold Saturday, rainy night at Sheffield, Amrabat's probably going to need a bit of time to bed himself in a little bit. He's going to need a little bit of time, just a little bit of patience. But I think he grew into the game. The second half, to me, is where I think we saw the better side of players, especially in the lead up to us scoring the winning goal, which, holy cow, what a strike from Diogo Dalot. And one player I do have to give, a bit of credit for, when he came on replacing Anthony, is Alejandro Garnacho. Came on, pushed Rashford out to the right hand side, but he was very involved. He came onto the pitch, and there's something that I sometimes notice about substitute players when they come on. They're a little bit sort of like, well, they don't look like they've got a lot of energy input into the game. They're not as lively as they should be. You think full energy of tank, or full tank of energy, I should say, that they're going to be running around after absolutely everything. They're going to be chasing players down, making challenges defensively. When they get the ball, they just run with it. And sometimes you don't really see that. We saw that with Garnacho today. We saw that with Garnacho. He came on, was very, for me, was very, very good on the defensive side of things. Tracking back, getting stuck in, making the challenges when Sheffield United could have had easy time on the ball because our defensive midfield are looking to just set up shape. So he then tracks back and then just comes and nicks the ball off them. Various times, give and goes. He's looking for the pass. He makes the movement off the ball. He's trying to use footballing intelligence here, and there we go. Better fix the focus there. But he is trying to use his brain in this game. He's trying to use his brain, and I've got a lot of time and appreciation for that. He had an absolute howler of a miss where he should have made it 3-1. Let's be real. He should have made it 3-1. But he had an input on the game for me where it's like, I feel like I can back this. I can back this sort of a performance. Like, that's a performance that I can believe in. Right? You come onto the pitch as a sub and you make a difference. And from the passage of play where we scored the goal to win the game, came from originally from the turnover of possession and some 1-2 passing between Lindelof on the left hand side and Martial, who's come deeper but slightly further out wide. And I suppose that's one thing I kind of like about Martial, is that he does drift into wider positions to help out the wingers to link up with them more, whereas Højlund will stay a bit more central, right? He's a bit more like the target man presence. And I suppose that's the good thing, is that it changed the profile of striker. We had two different types of strikers on the pitch. We have from first half into second half. And I suppose that involvement, that link up, is what allowed for Garnacho to be more involved in the game, and Lindelof as well. By the way, first half I thought didn't really offer anything. Second half was much, much more involved in the game, constantly up and down that wing. And that's not a common thing for Victor Lindelof. He's not usually someone who's bombing to do the overlaps or getting involved in attacking situations, but he was there in the attack for the winning goal. So, fair plays also to Victor Lindelof. He showed up in the second half big time, and you can only credit that. You can only show appreciation for that. So Garnacho, for me, fantastic showing when he came onto the pitch. Victor Lindelof as well. Second half, big performance. I think first half was a bit of a write-off for a lot of people, for a lot of players. I think Onana had a bit less to do, and I think he'll probably be a bit more relieved at that. Don't have to worry as much. Don't look like we're as shaky in those areas of those moments in the game. Martial as well offered something different in the attack. Was quite good. And in the later stages, when we were pickpocketing the players winning the ball high up the pitch, we looked dangerous. We looked very threatening in quite a few instances. So 2-3 breakaway chances, just simply stirred up because of a high press from Garnacho and Martial. And Martial, fair plays to him, put in a lot of work rate. He did. He put in a lot of work rate, defensive and offensively. It's just a shame that we weren't able to get that third goal that I think we were so craving for to really put the game to bed. So it was a little bit of like a nerve-wracking, even though there wasn't really much threat from Sheffield, there's a still bit of a nerve-wracking sort of end to the game, which is like, oh, please just don't concede. That's all we ask. Just please don't concede. Anything but conceding. That's all we care about. But again, Amrabat a little bit better in the second half. I think Bruno Fernandes got more sights at goal, but again, still not really that great in the second half. Probably one of the worst players on the pitch. Maguire, I think first half started the game off really shaky, problematic at the start of the game, and I'm no way his biggest fan. I've got no love lost for Harry Maguire for me, but I'll sing one set of praise that he looked a bit more sturdy in that second half. He did not look like he was a weak link. He didn't look like a weak spot in that team come the second half. For some reason, he was awarded man of the match. I don't understand that. I don't think he was man of the match, to be honest. I mean, as far as the game is concerned, I'll give man of the match to, just from my perspective, I'll give man of the match to Garnacho. To me, he's just very influential. Once he was on, making the runs on the left-hand side, inject a bit of pace, inject a bit of movement off the ball, and you start to see gaps open. You start to see pockets of space open, and don't vacate the space. Go take it. Take the space, and that's what Garnacho did. And he got the team in a good position, and we had a nice passage of play. Ball in and around the box, pinned Sheffield United in, and recycled possession. Every clearance fell to United shirt. That's what we like to see. That's better. That's closer to what we need. That's what Manchester United need to have. Had to assert control, assert a bit of dominance. Work the defence a bit, create some half chances to clear cuts. Had a few clear cut chances in the game. Højlund, one of them, unfortunately missed a fall right across the face of goal, failed to meet the ball. But you know what? I mean, Højlund had a couple big chances. Could he have played better? I think in front of goal, in some key moments, could have done better. He could have had 2 goals tonight, to be fair. He could have had 2 goals. I think the Rashford cross, he should have buried that. And the second ball that I think bounced off into the path of Rasmus Højlund, where he was onside, and he sort of played it quick, and the goalkeeper just made the save. He could have done a bit better with that chance. Obviously, goalkeeper saved it, pushed out for a corner kick. But I think we've seen probably what Rasmus Højlund up top is going to offer Manchester United. Much more like, as I suspected, a target man presence. And he sort of did the job that I was expecting him to do. But unfortunately, just not the conversion I was hoping for in the key moments. But who else? Who else have we got to talk about? Anthony, wasn't bad, but no important impact moments in good positions for me. A little bit too far away from where he needed to be with the ball at his feet. Had a couple of chances where he cuts to the inside a lot. We've seen it already. Back to the common Anthony theme: cut the inside, hit with your left. Whether that's a strike or whether that's the sort of looping pass to the back post, was probably the most controlled crossing that we've had this game, even though that was nowhere near the sort of level that we should have had it at. And I think Dalot's crossing this game was just crazy, a bit wild with the crossing. But I'll tell you what, if you want to talk about overhitting crosses, you want to hit stuff with pace, get yourself in front of goal and use that pace on your strike to hit the ball towards the goal, because put it top bins is what is most likely going to be the case. And fair plays to Diogo Dalot for ridiculous strike. absolutely ridiculous. So fair plays to Diogo Dalot for that. But Johnny Evans, just a work shift for him. Didn't need to do anything special, and sort of solid. In the wars a little bit. I think quite a few players had physical altercations on the pitch. Physical challenges, a lot of shoulder barging, body checks. A bit of a physical night, but Johnny Evans was involved with that. He wasn't shying away from being involved and being a bit more of a bruiser in the game. As for other players, I think Rashford didn't, looked a bit weak at times on the ball. Various other players I thought a little bit weak when he could have been stronger. I thought Dalot at times, Amrabat, bouncing off of Sheffield United players a little bit. Obviously not as physical as a Sheffield United team is concerned, but when we got into our groove, players started to deliver, and that is probably the biggest takeaway that we've got from this game. Find your groove, United. Find your groove, and players have got the ability in the locker to do some damage. And that first half was everything to show us what you don't do, right? Do what you do in the second half and the chances will come. We could have had 2, 3, 4 goals, maybe even five goals in the second half alone. Whereas the first half, we had one chance that looked like, or a shot that went on target, and that was the clear-cut chance. That was McTominay's strike. I mean, Højlund, you could say, bury his chance. That should have been 2-0. There should be a goal in that instance. And then maybe perhaps in his one-on-one with the goalkeeper, when the ball ricochets to him, that he could have opted to maybe chip the goalkeeper, because goalkeeper's made himself big, but he's gone quite low. I think he picked a side instead of going over the goalkeeper. So, there are plenty of negatives to take away of this performance, but equally we saw the plus sides to what Manchester United are capable of, and it's just we've got to find the elements in our game to really implement these patterns of play, implement the control, the pressure, the pressing from the front, and you will see you will reap the rewards. You will reap the rewards. It will all come to you. Wanted in at Liverpool, to be fair. I think it's about Paul Mitchell. Miles better than Murta. Oh, anybody's miles better than Murta, to be absolutely honest. That means we can finally bury Murta madness. We can finally bury it. Dead and buried and gone. Thank the Lord. But you had the quality that Sheffield United don't, to be honest. Exactly, yeah. I mean, Diogo Dalot, his strike on target, smashed it top bins. Fantastic strike. But then you see on the other side of things, Sheffield United in the second half, their finishing or their shooting was, wacky, was crazy, was wild, was out of control. Our shooting was much closer to the goal. If we were missing the target, we weren't sending it into Rosette. We weren't doing a Gabriel Jesus and striking the ball and nearly sending it out for a corner kick. And that's inside. That's literally just outside the box. Not a corner kick, a throw-in. You're striking the ball and nearly sending it out for a throw-in. Thank goodness we didn't have Gabriel Jesus shooting boots on. We had our own shooting boots on. So all the positives in that respect, especially with the second half and the breakaway moments we got on the game on a different day. Maybe we scored those goals and we're talking about a different scoreline. And the second half, I think, second half is miles better than the first half. And I think that's probably the mutual feeling among the United fans. Anyways, do be sure to leave your thoughts and your feelings about the game in the comments section below. Leave your verdicts on who you think was your player of the match or man of the match, who you think was the best player, who you think was the worst player, and what your positives and negatives of tonight's performance was, and share with the group. On top of that, don't forget to also smash a like on the stream. I see on 4 likes, we've got 11 people in here apparently. Make sure you're smashing that like. Show some love to the channel and help us grow. And if you haven't done so already, do make sure to subscribe. Anthony Herbert, good to see you, mate. You're at 44. You're 8th in the league. Where do you think you'll finish? Probably about there, if we're going to be honest. I mean, there's no evidence at the moment to suggest that we will finish or that we will do a better job than. Well, let me give a rundown of clubs in the league that so far we don't look like we are better than, especially on the pitch, most importantly on the pitch. So we're not better than Man City on the pitch. We're not better than Liverpool on the pitch. We're not better than Arsenal. We're not better than Tottenham. Probably not better than Chelsea on the pitch. Probably not better than Aston Villa quite. We're not better than Brighton. Probably not better. Who else? Well, we've got 7 teams there. I'm missing someone. I'm pretty sure I'm missing someone. Newcastle. So there's 8 teams there that I feel like we're not quite better than on the pitch. So there are 8 teams that will probably have a more likelihood to finishing above Manchester United this season, which would be catastrophic for United to be finishing close to 10th place. Absolutely catastrophic. I hope that is not the case. I hope that we are right up there and involved, and we've not started the season the right way to do that. But there's still plenty of time to go in the season. There's still plenty of things to happen, things to change. And what we are saying now, we might not be saying 2, 3, 4, 5 months down the line. So there's still plenty to play for. There's still plenty of things to happen. Still plenty of games of football to play. And who knows, maybe United, they find a groove. Maybe we do find a groove and we start playing a lot better. We'll just have to see. But big ups to everybody who has tuned in. I'm going to wrap things up there, people. I've got a nice early start with work tomorrow on a Sunday. But anyways, gotta try and find ways of making green. Not quite making the green here just yet. Not to say that we will never be monetized. We might. But yeah, big ups to everybody for tuning in. Thank you very, very much for showing love and support to the channel. Really appreciate all of you. You guys are real MVPs of the channel. And once again, on the couple of closing statements, rest in peace to Sir Bobby Charlton, legend, absolute legend of Manchester United Football Club, and God rest his soul. But also, long-haired Yeti, bloke who's done 3 watch-alongs on one stream. 3 watch-alongs on one stream. Started at 3 p.m, finished at 10:30 p.m. There what? 10 o'clock, thereabouts. 7 hours straight. 7 hours straight watch-alongs. Covered the Nottingham Forest Luton game, covered the Chelsea-Arsenal game, and then covered the Manchester United game. So massive shout outs to long-haired Yeti. Drop him a sub. Please drop him a sub. Workhorse on YouTube and really putting everything that he's got into his channel. So do be sure to go and spread some love and affection to long-haired Yeti. Sub to his channel and also like his latest stream. and get him boosted up the algorithm. Go and spread the good word that he is a workhorse and make it trend, people. Yeti the workhorse, or long-haired the work Yeti. I mean, we call it workhorse. We might as well call work Yeti. But anyways, that's it from me for tonight. Enjoy the rest of your Sundays, wherever it is you may be and whatever it is you may be doing. Thank you very much for everybody who's tuned in and watched for this match reaction. United get 3 points on the road. We'll take that. And fingers crossed that we've got same outcomes in the Champions League against Copenhagen midweek. And then it's the big one. It is the big one. Manchester Derby at Old Trafford. We'll see you on the next one. But for now, take care and goodbye and God bless.